Hi, guys. It's Ken Maxfield, the Hide Guy, president of the Maxfield Report, and here is our market recap for the week ending April 12th. This week saw big packers enter the week with offer lists that appeared to be even more populated than the week prior. Offer lists saw a number of heifer selections offered, which started last week. Which, if you guys remember, I was talking towards the second half of March that once we turn the page on April, that we would start seeing plenty of heifers, and they are in full force right now. As far as asking prices, they were mixed. Some packers opted to leave their asking prices alone, while others lowered their price by $1 or $2, depending on the packer, depending on the selection. As far as interest this week, it really wasn't nearly, I should say, nearly as many bids this week as last week. Not that last week saw a lot of bids, but the problem is there's so many people, traders, packers, pressing buyers to give them bids that buyers in general are being very silent, waiting to see who's going to come, who's going to call, what they're going to get offered, what special offers are out there. So not nearly as many bids this week. And when the buyers are bidding, they're bidding aggressively lower. As far as interest this week, sales-wise, I would say there were fewer hides exchanging hands this week than last week. Prices down again $1 to $2, depending on the selection, depending on how soon they can take delivery and how many they are buying. And, that means, really you could see three different prices for the same selection, again, depending on volume, who's buying, and when they're taking it. So not a very good week of sales for the packers, especially considering we saw the largest harvest of the year this week. So look for a list to be populated again next week. On the cowhide side, producers came in with offer lists that were unchanged with last week. For the most part, leaving prices unchanged. Similar to the big packer market, there was not nearly as many bids this week because, again, there's so many producers coming to these tanners and wanting them to bid and to bid in volume. So they are being very quiet, standing on the sidelines, waiting to see who is going to come with what to them. Middle of the week, they started to, some bids started breaking loose at a couple dollars down. We understand that some of this business, was begrudgingly done because there's a large number of cows coming in that harvest that we've been talking about now going on the last, say, 6 to 8, almost maybe 9 weeks. And it's just more than what producers are able to sell. So unlikely we saw cowhide producers clear their production, and prices probably down $1 to $2. As far as the harvest this past week, as I touched upon just a minute or so ago, largest of the year, 634, compares to 621 last week and 611 a year ago. We're up now about 83,000 versus last year on one less day of harvest, and that is almost 1% higher than where we stood a year ago. And with plenty of cattle standing and packers with great margins, look for that harvest, especially with Easter being next weekend, will go much higher, probably 3 to 4% higher as we go forward. Taking a look around the world real quick, Europe is succumbing to pressure. Talked to a number of people over there on the sell side, and there are plenty of hides unsold. Producers struggling with some of the bids that they're getting, but they're also, like here in the States, they're struggling to get bids in general because, again, buyers are sitting and waiting for those who have hides to know what they want to offer them and what special deals they can give them. So a lot of people lamenting about the situation there. The demand is just gone to heck in a handbasket, for lack of a better description. And, a lot of guys saying, I would take down money, but I need to have a bid first in order to do that. So, and that pertains to all selections in Europe, but, cowhides and bull hides especially are really under pressure there. Going down to Brazil, the situation just continues to, slide south. A lot of wet blue for sale. Reports of, TR1s at 50 cents. Some sellers will say they can get maybe as much as 55. I think that might be isolated. There's even rumors of sales below 50 cents, which we can't confirm. But, nothing would surprise us right now in this market. Fresh hides continue to be reported at 1 reais. We suspect there's trading lower than that, especially if you're taking volume, and we're working hard with our sources down there to be able to confirm that for you next week if the prices are lower than that. Going over to Australia, no different. Their harvest is kind of backed off a little bit now because they had some sufficient rains. So the farmers are holding on to cattle a little tighter. That's driven up live prices. So packers aren't enthusiastic to harvest as many animals as they had been. But overall, those selling hides in Australia have the same situation. They're looking at, some sizable inventories of product. There's not enough demand. And if they're going to trade, they're going to have to trade it lower. As far as the export report this past week, as we suspected, it came out slightly lower than the week before. We had a couple decent weeks and where we at least saw sales equal the harvest. Now, wet salted sales at call it 294,000, shipments 385,000. Shipments aren't decent, but that's not near enough wet salted hide sold. Wet blues, as we were predicting, were going to come in higher, and they did. The reason that is because it's the first report of the month. That includes a lot of the monthly long-term arrangements. So 193 on the wet blue sales, exports at 158, which are, that's decent enough to clear whatever their production is at 158. So looking ahead to next week, what we expect, we don't see really any reason to change our opinion of the market. It just appears there's too many hides being produced as far as there is demand to buy the hides. End of the day, we remain of the opinion there's got to be some difficult decisions made. We're likely going to have to see some of these lower grade selections totally taken out of the equation in order to have demand and supply come better into balance. That will allow the market to stabilize, and then we can make a determination how we go forward. The question becomes, which hides are the ones that are going to be taken out of the equation? That's it for now. Ken Maxfield, the Hide Guy. Check out my website, www.themaxfieldreport.com. I offer free 14-day trials on the website. Just scroll to the bottom of the page and click on the button. Until next week, we'll see you then. Thanks.